Alright, so in this video I'm going to be talking about my history a little bit. I've made a video on my history before, but I think I kind of got jumbled around a little bit with it. So I'm just going to do it again, and if I think it's better, then I'll just, either remove the other video or just make it private, or I don't know. I might just leave it. And I'll have two. Maybe I'll make more in the future. Anyway, um, so my history as a trans girl. I did not discover my transgendered condition. I did not become aware of it until actually just a couple years ago. And so let's start from the beginning, though. I was born March 27th, 1992, and I'm not going to give my name that I was given because that part of me is done and over with. But um, I was born in Great Falls, Montana, and I was born I was born as a boy. And I grew up most of my life up to this point as a boy. And so I was raised in Billings, Montana. I'm adopted. And I have a close relationship with my birth mother, and especially close with my sister. And I did kind of grow up knowing them, and they're parts of my life now. Um, 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 I didn't see them much, but that's beside the point. I grew up in Billings, Montana, um, and a lot of people, a lot of trans people talk about they always knew that they were, the opposite sex, or they always knew what gender they are, and that really wasn't the case for me. I was very oblivious as far as gender is concerned. I was very oblivious. I was always an oddball. I was always different. I was always kind of the outcast. Um, I was very antisocial. I was very, very ridiculously shy. And I was very insecure. And, you know, um, I tried when I was young. I tried having girlfriends. I tried having crushes on girls, and you probably saying, how can you try to have a crush on a girl? Um, and the answer to that is I would see girls who I thought were really pretty, and I would girls who I would want to be like, but I didn't think about it that way at the time. I just, in my head, it was, um, that girl's really pretty. I have a crush on her. And so I thought that's what that was. And so, I would I would make myself fantasize about having a girlfriend because that's what all the other boys were talking about. And yes, this is in early elementary school, little boyfriends and girlfriends. And of course, it isn't as drastic as it is now, but that makes me feel old. Anyway, um, so yeah, but I really had the sexual attraction toward other boys. And that kind of confused me because I remember in like 5th or 6th grade, and even before that, no, it was probably even way before that, 4th and 3rd grade, probably. Um, I would be teased for being gay. Well, not for being gay, but I was called gay I was teased for being feminine. I remember I would wear these bright green flip-flops, and I was made fun of because of that. And all the other boys would talk about how I'm gay because I have green flip-flops, like bright green flip-flops. And that bothered me, but at the same time, I was attracted to these boys, and I didn't know what it was. Um, like in my head as a little child, I was like, okay, well, I have crushes on girls, but what is this that I'm feeling for boys? Like I like boys. And um so that progressed through elementary school as such, and I never questioned my gender or anything. I was just me. I was little oddball me, and I was just content with myself and escaping into fantasy worlds. When the few friends that I did have, I would engage in very hardcore role playing games. Like in fantasy worlds, or um, but when I think back about it, it was obvious that I was out of place in my gender role as a boy. Um, Whenever I played with my friends, I would always play the female role. Um, so before I continue with that, I guess that kind of means that subconsciously or unconsciously, I did know that I'm not a boy, but consciously that never occurred to me. But subconsciously, it became apparent, especially looking back in hindsight. Um, I would always play the female role. I did want to. I wanted to wear girl clothing. I was never, outward about that. But when my mom wasn't home and my dad wasn't home, I would raid my mom's closet and I would wear her old dresses and I would put on her shoes and I would look through her makeup. And a couple times I actually put her makeup on, and I would pretend to be a girl and pretend. Um, and And eventually, I even told my mom that I wanted nail polish, and she even bought me, against my dad's will, she bought me a little vial of sparkly blue nail polish, which they took away after they got it from me, because my dad didn't like it, and so they took it away. And my mom had let me get a pair of shoes that I liked when I was really little, but they were girl shoes. But she let me get them because I don't think it really, at that point, I don't think it really struck her as like, oh my God. I think for her, because it was just the one thing, like, it was just those shoes. I really liked those shoes. They were a light blue, kind of like a denim blue. And on the inside, they had flower prints, like a pretty little flower print. And and I really wanted those shoes. So she got them for me, and I don't think she really thought much about it. Like, oh, they're girl shoes, right? And I was like, I don't care, they're blue. I want them. They have flowers in them. They're pretty. And she didn't really think much about it. Um, um, but anyway, continuing. Um, so yeah, I wore my mom's clothes when nobody was home. I wanted to wear makeup. I always played female roles when I'd play with my friends, or when I was playing by myself. Um, I would even drape towels over my head, and I would pretend I was a nun, or I would pretend I was a beautiful girl, like a beautiful woman. And And so life just kind of went on like that. And eventually, when sexuality came into the picture for me, I just kind of, I didn't really do anything with it because I didn't know what to do with myself. All I knew was that I liked boys and that I apparently was a boy. And so I just kind of went with it. I didn't question it. I didn't label it. I just kind of went with it. Um, and I continued to fantasize about girls' clothing, I guess. Um, so that's how my life went all throughout elementary school. And after I graduated elementary school, I went to a little tiny private school. And at that point, I thought I was gay. Um, I brought labels into the picture, and I labeled myself as gay, but I wasn't really out about it. But it was kind of obvious at the same time because I'm naturally feminine. And so that's just the way it went. And um, 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 and I even at that point I tried to have a girlfriend. Um, I had I had one girlfriend. Actually, no, I had two girlfriends, and they both had the same name, Claire. Um, and I think I don't know why I went after girls. Maybe it was because I was trying to fit in to the lifestyle of a boy. I really don't know, but it didn't work out. I was just not attracted that in that way. Um, and so I got older, and I went to high school. After seventh grade, I went to a different high school, and I started high school, and Um, I embraced a very, very Christian background, and I became a very, very strict Christian. Um, and I was going to high school at a very strict Protestant Christian school, even though I was really strictly Catholic. Um, but either way, it was very Christian background, and I embraced that like with tooth and nail. And um, I just kind of ignored it all. Like I think in like ninth grade, eighth or ninth grade, or maybe even, no, it was eighth or ninth grade. There was a girl named Madeline, and she was my friend in high school. She was my best friend in high school, actually. Um, and I was talking to her one night, and um, we were talking about my homosexuality, and I was telling her just the way I am, and I was expressing myself to her. And you know, at that point, I really actually wanted to be a nun. I know that's really weird, but I wanted to be a nun. And growing up as a child, I had a fascination and a special love for nuns. And I wanted to be one, but I was a little boy, so obviously I couldn't. And I was talking about it, and she's like, "You should just go be one. There's this thing called a sex change. You can get a sex change. Why don't you just do that?" Um, and while we were talking about it, I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, that's neat. I could do that." But I really didn't take the conversation to heart, and I didn't really think about it that much after that. And Madeline was actually very helpful in my subconscious journey towards transition because she just absolutely loved the fact that I was gay and super feminine. And she would make me cross dress. And we went to Walmart. Oh my God, I was such a nervous mess. We went into Walmart to buy me a skirt, and we bought me high heels. And just going into Walmart and being in the women's section, I was such a nervous wreck. I was shaking, I was sweaty, I was so scared out of my mind. But excuse me. But I really didn't take the whole transgender thing to heart because I didn't know anything about it. And, I didn't really know what a sex change entailed. And so I just really didn't consider it. And so my life just continued. I was very confused. I was not happy with myself at all, but I could not figure out why. Because I was not happy being gay. I was not happy being a boy who likes other boys. It just didn't feel right to me. And that's not to say I have anything against gay people, because I love gay people. My best friend is gay. Anyway, um, but I mean, for me, I'm not a boy, so it just didn't feel right. And so I just didn't know what to think. And then upon graduating high school, I went to Colorado about maybe not even a year after I graduated. I went to Colorado for about half a year. And then I came back and I did some serious soul searching. And actually, the whole idea of what transgendered really is um, came to me when I watched the show Ugly Betty. There is a transgendered woman in the show Ugly Betty, and they kind of, in a Hollywood version, they kind of go into vague detail about what it means to be transgendered. And then all of a sudden, it was like an aha moment while I was watching Ugly Betty. My life made sense. And I realized to myself so suddenly that, oh my God, my life makes sense now. I'm not a boy. Oh my fucking God. And so you can't even imagine how insane I felt at that moment, just because 20 years, no, not 20 years, 19 years of my life suddenly makes sense to me. It was a lot to take in. And so, I started transition privately at first. I started my transition by just doing all the research that I could. I spent, 2, 3 days straight doing nothing but looking up transgendered information. And I did that for a very long time, a matter of weeks or months. And I did nothing but research. I would even stay up all night, late into the next day. I did that a few times. I did that frequently. And then after I thought I had enough knowledge about it and enough knowledge about myself, I decided to take another step. And I started talking to people about it. And I really didn't, this is really bad, but I didn't tell my parents about my transition. I didn't talk to my parents. I don't have that kind of relationship with my parents where I go and tell them my deepest, darkest secrets. I don't have that kind of relationship with them. And so I kind of just let them find out as my transition progressed. And it caused a lot of heartbreak, but it also forced them to take it into acceptance, because it forced them to do their own research, and it just kind of made them, realize that, oh my God, we have to accept her or she might commit suicide. And so they just kind of went with it for me. And I'm so thankful for that. But I started talking to people and I started researching hormone therapy, and I called the local Planned Parenthood, and I got in touch with a doctor, and I got a job, and I started hormone therapy. And And I've been doing that ever since. And so, now there's a lot more detail, but that's just kind of the overview of my own experience as being a trans person. And there is so much more detail that I can get into, so much more detail, but it's not really hitting my head right now. And I just wanted to give you a very brief and vague overview of my own life as a trans person. And so there it is. I will probably make more videos later on that go into more depth and detail about the history of my life. But this is kind of a little nutshell here. So there you have it. I hope that kind of gives you at least a little history that makes sense about me, and at least a little bit. I know a little never hurts. So there you go, and I will talk at you all later.